Right. Good afternoon, people. It is January 3rd. Excuse me. It is January 3rd. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. I don't know if people can hear, would be able to hear the. Excuse me. I don't know if people will be able to hear the traffic outside, but it's raining and it's the afternoon on a Saturday. Good evening, people. Should probably have like, huh. Each of these streams are something different. And there's something different. They're always a new they're always a new experience and new things to learn and whatnot. Anyway, I am here. Happy New Year, people. This is the first New Year in the name. Uh, so, I heard we deposed a dictator in the night last night. It was a communist one, Mr. Maduro, Nicolas Maduro. How do I feel about this? I was on briefly on a call-in with Rob Noor this morning. Briefly called in because I'm learning how to properly express my thoughts when things happen, and man, we are in some wacky times, and the year only just started. No new ones. Gonna put these away for now. Huh. Yeah, I hit record, and now it's simply just hanging out hour because lots of things lots of holy crap. It has been a treat to watch the it's been a treat watching the fallout from this deposition of a dictator. What would be my thoughts on this? my initial thoughts when I was awake, because I was on last night on Speakeasy's channel for Verbal Combat, and I just happened to be looking on Twitter and just noticed that there was a military operation that was going on in Venezuela of all places, where we were basically where we deposed a communist dictator from his position as leader of the country. Honestly, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it because communism is. We hate commies on this channel. At least, I'm establishing today that we do not like communists on this channel. I was never really I was never very particular about communism to begin with as I was growing up, but I did grow up in a left leaning household to the point where I thought the social programs that surrounded. Why is this the third time I've yawning? What the heck? That's really embarrassing. That's the third yawn. I just started third yawn in like in 6 minutes. Um, I just close. That way we can get dead silence. Uh, I think there's a live feed of Maduro, a live feed of Maduro being taken off the plane, off the Iwo Jima. I guess we can watch that for a bit. Uh, C-SPAN. Oh, well. Oh, I guess it finished, but that's okay. Um, my For You page is very strange. Well, strange. It's almost all in Japanese, but that's for my own personal viewing because I'm trying to learn Japanese and Higuraku move. Complete plunder event. Seeing so many of these whack ass takes on uh on Twitter. People say X these days, but I still call it Twitter because don't really have a I don't I'm not really given a reason as to why I should ever change. What the Oh, I freaked out by the cord brushing against my foot. Thought it was creepy crawly, but no, I'm not actually afraid of bugs. Onion person. It's been a it's been a wild day just looking at people celebrating, looking at Venezuela, just people celebrating and people seething. There's always you see that there's a certain group of people that are upset by this, and it's mainly people who lean left and don't have sense in their minds. I'm still not used to being on air, even though I kind of just hit go live with kind of no expectations. But it's okay because we'll find something. Even if I'll be playing some games as well. Um, People of Iran want their nation back from the mullahs. Without X, you wouldn't know. Legacy media opting. Oh, that these are my bookmarks because I thought it would be interesting to look through some of these and give thoughts, my own commentary, as it were. Come and get me. Just posted an epic video. IO freak is too much for Muna to handle. Oh. Damn, I kind of just hit go live without a plan. There was one flight radar. This is actually quite interesting. Oh wait, share screen. Yeah, you looking at this flight radar with the with Venezuelan airspace. You see the complete and total air traffic blackout. There are some that like they get close to Venezuela and then they disappear. There's one at the very beginning there where one gets directed. One it manages to cut through right through Venezuela, and then in the at the very beginning, what was it? Yeah, this one right here. Anyway, when it comes to this sort of, I enjoyed the fact I enjoyed how surgical and how surgical this operation was, and how I don't think I'm gonna stream for too long, but it was how surgical this strike was. Basically, just in and out with a couple of boys, the Delta boys. And we got the dictator out, and now Venezuelans all over the country, all over the world are ecstatic. They're celebrating, and it's like, I'm happy for them because from what I keep seeing from posts all over TikTok, posts all over X, they have been waiting for a day like this to come for a very long time, and considering how rich in resources their country is, it's no wonder that they've been waiting for something. It's no wonder that they'd be celebrating at this point. Because I mean, why wouldn't you? You had one of your worst dictators of all time, who basically destroyed your country for the who him and his predecessor destroyed your country for the better part of the last 2 decades, almost 3 decades, and they are they finally be are they will finally be able to have their voices heard, especially coming off of the last election where Maduro basically said, "Oh, I'm losing. No, I'm not. No, I'm not actually. I'm not actually losing. And then he never, never leaves office, and then can just continue to rule over the country for another 5 years, even after he was voted out of office, as if elections didn't matter. That's a true dictator, by the way. For anybody that says, anybody that accuses Trump of being, a fascist dictator, authoritarian, and whatnot, Maduro is a true authoritarian dictator. He's not fascist because actually what he is communist, which is worse, but neither here nor there. That's an actual dictator where he basically looked at the democracy, he looked at the will of his people, looked them dead in the face, and said, you know, you didn't actually vote for this other guy. And it's lucky that the guy that the opposition wasn't wasn't killed for it for being opposition and whatnot. Guess they don't really have that big. They don't really have that big an enforcement arm, and I don't wish for. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I don't I would like to see Trump employ these same tactics, the same sort of decisive fervor here in the United States. But as I have been listening to people debate over this, the skeptics as well as the people who fully support this move, one thing has been clear to me is that we all want Trump, people here in the US want him to act more in the US's, more in a domestic, in the US's best domestic interest, coming from the Minnesota Somali fraud, just the fraud in general. Um, we want Trump to do more, and him being as decisive as he is on foreign policy, especially in these last few months, especially. One would think, and I wouldn't blame anybody for having to take that. Well, he's not really fulfilling what I voted for in terms of getting rid of in terms of illegal immigration, bringing the economy back in to bringing the economy back to America, and so on and so forth. And it's like he promised no new wars, and I've been hearing this as well. He promised no new wars. He's not gonna do any war. He's not gonna bring back any wars, no boots on the ground or anything like that. And here he does a surgical strike in Venezuela to depose a dictator that's been there for too long. Where's the war? There is no war to begin with because it was in and out. That's how it is. Now, one could argue that we it's a wait and see whether or not whether or not um talking about the recent I need to go down to the store and get a controller for myself so I can play a couple of games that I don't have yet. Mm. I need a controller for myself. Um, but I think I want to do that. Hang out. Maddie,
What's up?
close the door, please.
Yay, e-bike!
Hang out. Senior missile. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm really low. Okay, I'm understanding that I'm incredibly low. Hold on a second. Oh, actually, I'm not low, but I need to speak. I need to speak louder and closer to the mic, but that's okay. Anyway, oh wow, I see the one fake view that was myself. That's okay. Yeah, yeah. Anywho, we we are in some strange times because well, we've been in some strange times for years at this point. If anything, my main takeaway from all of this is that I am super happy for the people of Venezuela for being able to, I said, finally get rid of a guy that has been there for get guy that has been there for too long. And I'm sort of just repeating myself at this point, but it's been really fun looking at all of these reactions of various of people from all over the world, Venezuelans from all over the world, just celebrating. It brings a warm feeling to my heart. I don't know. I cannot tell. I would not be able to tell whether or not the U.S.'s current plans, and that's the thing that I understand skeptics when they talk about how they don't agree with the strikes, how they don't agree with this operation. Um, they are skeptical of the effectiveness of the transition of power from from the current U.S. occupation and or U.S. Running of the government to a different to the actual government that will be running Venezuela from this day forth. I think though what um what gives me hope, I'll say what gives me hope is the fact that this time at least, and sure, we've been saying this time with any form of U.S. intervention in a country, or regime change in a country. Um, but this time it just feels like this will be cool, considering that over the past year, Trump has been effective, at least in his it has been effective in his foreign policy through things like tariffs, through things like ending wars.
for me at least, it's like the surface level stuff, the surface level observable stuff of he got a bunch of wars to he got a bunch of conflicts to come to conclusions. They're not being fought anymore. He's still trying to settle the whole thing with Ukraine and Russia. That's still going on. We'll have to see where that goes. If anything happens at all. He is tariffing and he's deporting. Now, not enough, mind you, because we I would like for him to be more decisive with his use of the National Guard within blue cities and blue states because they really need to be rooted out. And I can't stand the fact that we as a country continue to tolerate the BS that is all of the progressives and Democrats and communists basically, and thinking we can just go outside and do our foreign policy on someone else having some this is not a good stream. That's the sixth. I think that's the sixth yawn today. Utilizing our might to basically depose of a dictator. And the thing that gets me, let's see, with things like here President Maduro, he lost badly, wasn't even close. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the thing that makes this different, at least to me, is the fact that this things like this, we see results like this. Um with taking out when taking out Maduro at this point, I would like to think that the US, the Trump administration will not be here for very long. We won't be here we won't be in this country for very long. We'll just see that the new administration, the administration that was actually duly elected by the populace of Venezuela, actually, comes into power and starts to run the country themselves as the duly elected uh leaders of that country. Now, I have no idea the status of the rest of Maduro's administration. I know we took off the head, but we could be facing a Hydra situation in that, two more take its place. And we really wouldn't want that, which is likely why the temporary occupation is taking place. But I do get people's concern that of how long. The question is how long will we be the question is how long do we how long do we stay? That's the big question. How long do we stay? And that is the most and that's the $1 million question here, because up until this point we can't, and I don't exactly trust the government to be specific in its next plans. What's going to happen over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, or something like that. Hopefully, it's not even a couple of months, but it's like a few days. I can understand it's like a few days. You gotta, make sure that you root out all of the you root out the rest of the regime, make sure that the people who need to be in place are in place, and they start to take over what is the they start to take over running the country, basically. But since we don't have any specifics on how long this is going to take, it's hard to really get past the thought that this is just going to be another Iraq. This is going to be another Afghanistan, another Vietnam, and whatnot. But I think the big difference here is the popular sentiment, which it's since all of these Venezuelans are cheering, all of these Venezuelans, and I think some brought up a good point as I was listening before the stream. We had cheering in the streets for Muammar Gaddafi back in 2011 after we bombed the shit out of his country. And then when he was killed and he was assassinated and deposed, there were people who were calling for who were celebrating his death as well. Same thing with Saddam Hussein, although I think something was different with him. And same thing seems to be happening with calls in Iran for the people of that country to reject the Ayatollah and bring back I think his name is the Mullah or something. I forget. I don't really know. In that there was celebration in the streets, although at this point it's celebration globally because of where all of these Venezuelans are currently. They should be able to go back to their home soon, go back to their home country soon. Celebrating and being unified in the fact that Maduro has been taken out. See, is there something we can oh, I guess oh, my okay, my For You page is not full of things. Well, I just don't have anything. Never mind. Um. Anywho, you can basically just doom scroll on. I think what I can do right now is just doom scroll on X, and then what have we got? What have we got here actually?
Estamos saliendo de una de las peores ratas de Venezuela. Gracias al gobierno de Trump por esta libertad que nos está brindando. De alguna manera se convierte junto a Edmundo González y a María Corina Machado en los libertadores de Venezuela.
Esto es algo que no sé cómo explicarlo, o sea, es una emoción indescriptible.
So I kind of understood all of those. Actually, had a basic understanding of all of those words, and they're basically it's more people cheering, more people happy about Trump coming in and actually deposing the dictator that has been ruling over and messing up their country for all of this time. They have one of the largest oil reserves in the world, and they don't utilize it because Maduro was basically stupid as shit and didn't utilize and was communist. And when it comes to communism, they don't know how to regulate economies. They don't know how markets work. They don't know how to actually like the ideology does not fit at scale. It just doesn't. and you just see more and more of celebrating your president's cap. Look at this stuff. Sorry, but this is hilarious. Celebrating your own president's cap. You see these darn leftists slash like communists and whatnot saying president. It's not a president, it's a dictator. Sorry, a non-Venezuelan, not under. Yep. These are funny. These are great. I mean, what's on the For You page? What is this?
Los gringos, los gringos están invadiendo bases. Se acaban de meter en Venezuela.
¿Qué pasó, bro? ¿Qué pasó,
Sí,
bro?
marico, están reventando bases aéreas.
Marico, me cagué muy
Marico,
feo,
están
bro.
reventando bases aéreas.
Bro, ustedes no pueden llegar a hacer stream, bro, y espantarme así, brother. A Caracas. Yo, papi, estos coños llegan, papi, a la... Ya va. ¿En serio? Ya, ¿qué pasó?
All these people, these Venezuelans
¿Qué
here,
pasó?
just-
Llévala, ¿qué pasó?
they finally, when the moment that they realized that Maduro was captured, look at them. Like, I can't help but see people. I can't help but see reactions like that and think to myself at least that there's not some merit to what there's not some merit to the vision. I understand that it kind of this is the looks like a duck, plays like a duck sort of scenario where we go and we crash the country, we depose the leader, and we have to see later on with the aftermath and having to basically run the country until we can safely like change powers over to who we want it to be. Something tells me this is going to be, and yeah, this is kind of delusional for anybody with a brain. Something tells me that this, I only have feelings to go off of this point because when in terms of information, I'm still learning knowledge. I'm still getting used to. I'm still getting used to I'm still learning how to learn and to articulate my thought processes and form like proper opinions on things, because I see it in my mind. I see it in my mind, and I see Rivals of Ether, so it's distracting me. Mute the U.S. subsidy. Wait, what? I'm reading this part. I'm reading this part here, where it says, "If I'm going to the story right, oil experts are the backbone." Where would I? Where could I see? U.S. political pressure ensued. Oh, okay. The U.S. doesn't like. Where did these people get the idea that the U.S. wouldn't like that? Because they're U.S. subsidiaries? We don't get. Last time, from what I keep hearing, we don't get oil from Venezuela because it's unrefined. And it wouldn't be. And we don't have. We don't have the infrastructure to refine it ourselves, and B, because it's so unrefined, it's basically unusable. So if they would start shipping oil to us, we wouldn't be able to use it because it's like, because it's not in a state where it would be properly combustible. From other sources, it would seem that Actually, it was a goodness me. It is. I kind of just hit the. I kind of just hit the. I don't need to say anything else. But I haven't seen this video yet. I think this video has been going on a little bit, so I want to look at this. I don't think you should ever really stand with a communist dictator. Like, given the history of communism in the world and the various parts of the world, it would seem like a no-brainer that supporting a communist dictator for everything that they've done would be, even the idea of communism, because of how much it's been tried over the years, over this last century, you'd think that more people would be like, maybe we should stop. Maybe we should do something that clearly works, or is, would in their eyes probably be the lesser of two evils, which would be capitalism, which is what we have right now, basically. And it's more of a mixed market economy anyway, of both socialism and capitalism. But we're reaching a point where these all of these social programs have been frauded, have been taken advantage of, to where they honestly should just not exist. That is very true. It's like, you look at what this guy, when you start to look through what this guy has done to the country, and for me at least, it's just all of these secondhand accounts of learning after the fact. Maybe one day, one of these days, we'll go through we'll go through actual, like, knowledge and articles and history for this guy, or maybe we learn it here.
Some misunderstood populist leader. He is the head, and not supposed to be the head. He's an illegal leader of one of the most corrupt, repressive regimes in the entire Western Hemisphere, and that did not happen overnight. You see, Nicolas Maduro didn't win power. He inherited power after Hugo Chavez, and then he systematically rigged the system to keep it.
Oh yeah, voting fraud. But that doesn't happen in the US.
Stand with Venezuela. Okay, so you should stand with the people of Venezuela who want him gone. The elections under Maduro have internationally been condemned time and time again. He has barred opposition candidates, he has shut down aspects of the media, and he has packed the courts with loyalists to him. People question the vote totals, and he has just parallel institutions that have been created to override democratic outcomes. He has
That's actually a real threat to the Constitution, if that's what happened here in America, which it hasn't, by the way. That would be an actual threat to democracy, threat to the Constitution.
Shifted Venezuela from a democracy to an authoritarian state. Instead of stepping down and stepping aside when he lost, he just rewrote the rules to keep himself in power. Maduro's regime has also aligned itself with America's biggest adversaries. Iran, which has helped Venezuela evade sanctions and expand security cooperation, Russia, which props up the regime military and financially, and China, which extracted resources and leverage while Venezuela collapsed. Also Hezbollah, which United States officials say has operated networks inside of Venezuela under their regime.
Venezuela really was the Western hub for for all of our geopolitical adversaries, between, Russia, China, Iran, Hezbollah, basically everybody he just said. They were the southwestern hemisphere hub for all of these countries, for all of our adversaries, and we basically just nixed the the central hub for all of these guys, and now we're going to actually, you know, willing, God willing, gonna have all of these guys, gonna have an actual country that rejects all of these parties, and then also starts to actually work with us finally.
protection. They don't have a neutral foreign policy approach. They have a hostile alignment to America and the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what is happening to the ordinary Venezuelans? Well, 25 years ago, Venezuela was
They were ignored for 25 years.
one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America. It had the largest proven oil reserves in the world, which it still has over Saudi Arabia. It had a functioning middle class, and it had regional influence. Under Maduro, their economy imploded. They have hyperinflation that has wiped out everyone's savings. Food and medicine have become scarce. Millions have fled the
Oh,
country. I
yeah.
believe 7 million people have left the country, not because of the
And people say that they would want socialism and communism to happen in America. Every single time you have people that come from countries like this, like this. They come from countries like this. And they say that they want more of this in the United States. I don't see the logic, I don't see the reasoning. I don't see the reasoning. You should never ever want to be a communist if you've ever talked or seen images of communism in practice.
sanctions on Venezuela, but because the state destroyed private enterprise. They seized all of the industries and mismanaged oil production, and they looted all of the public funds. We've seen hospitals collapse. We have seen power grids fail. We have seen malnutrition skyrocket. We have seen political dissent be met with arrest, torture, and in some cases, killings. Human rights organizations have documented extrajudicial killings. They have documented political prisoners, forced disappearances, and the silencing of many journalists. And
This is normal behavior for communist regimes all throughout history. You look at Mao, you look at Stalin, you look at Pol Pot, happens each and every time. To varying degrees, to varying outcomes. Goddamn, man.
And what bothers me the most about all of these people saying Venezuela has a right to defend itself, I stand with Venezuela, oh, they illegal.
But they can't. Oops.
Appearances and the silencing of many journalists. And what bothers me the most about all of these people saying Venezuela has a right to defend itself, I stand with Venezuela, oh, they illegally kidnapped Maduro. The Venezuelans themselves don't support this guy. So when you say that you're standing with Venezuela, you're standing with US military action, which over 60% of Venezuelans who fled Venezuela said needs to be taken to topple his regime.
Basically, if you say that you support Venezuelans and you support Venezuela's right to defend itself, and your version of supporting Venezuela is defending Maduro, you are the very enemy that you say that you're against. That's just that simple. You are the anti-populist. You don't actually stand with Venezuelans. You stand with the dictatorship. And you stand a dictator, basically.
Also, over 60% of Venezuelans don't see him as the rightful political leader. Poll after poll has shown overwhelming opposition to his rule.
Cool.
Presidente Donald Trump.
Oh, wait. This is great. What is this?
Maduro exporta coca. Maduro narcotraficante. Venezuela libre. Regresen, que en Estados Unidos no lo quieren. Regresen, que Trump no lo quiere.
This is great because seeing all of these Venezuelans, probably one of this is essentially a shock to the system, a shock to the system, because people don't Democrats, leftists don't understand how much this actually helps, how much how much they're standing for dictators actually hurts their cause, because you get stuff like this where the very people that say the very people that they say need help from them suddenly are not out there cheering for them. They're not there to cheer for their side. They're cheering for Trump. And that is probably one of the biggest shocks to the system, because that's a voter base, a colored voter base that suddenly does not that does not support them.
Regresen, que Trump no lo quiere. Regresen, que Trump no lo quiere.
What I think I'm missing from this is seeing and see is what I'm missing is seeing actual clashes between like Venezuelan protesters and and the white liberals that say that the Venezuelans have a right to defend themselves and whatnot. I'm missing that, but maybe that's kind of just wishful thinking at this point. That's wishful thinking.
Puente. De todo su país completo. ¿Qué haces tú aquí? Tú no eres estadounidense.
I mean, this is basically the best you would ever gonna get in terms of actual the two sides contesting each other is stuff like that. Anyway. Okay, lefties are crying their eyes out. They cannot understand why people are happy Maduro is gone. Why? Why would people be happy that a dictator that has ruled over their people and has forced them out of their country these are actual asylum seekers. These would actually be asylum seekers trying to get away from a murderous regime. A regime that ran them out of the country under threat of death. Why they would be so happy that he's gone. And I think there's a press conference. The press conference. We would need to watch the press conference in full. I kind of watched it earlier today, but we can go over that as well. That's not it. C-SPAN. Wow, that press conference is an hour. Today is Venezuela's Independence Day. Venezuela Libre. Yeah, all of these Venezuelan citizens incredibly sad that their dictator was toppled in 2 hours. This must be really hard. This is very enlightening and very heartening for people who have been skeptical of Trump, because it's another step of goodwill for especially people around the world. I want for Trump to do these same decisive actions here in the United States. I need him to go much harder than he has been. I'm admitting that he's doing well. He's doing well for what he can do here in this country. For what he could do, which is mobilizing the National Guard, all of the ICE raids, all of the ICE raids, and the self-deportation campaign. Basically, hey, we're gonna give you some money if you will self-deport. We'll give you some money if you can, take yourselves out of the country and leave. We may even bring you back at some point when you come through the border. When you come through the border legally. When you come through the border the right way. Anyway. can watch a bit of this, but I'm already getting tired. It's only been an hour, but this was the mental exhaustion is what's hitting me. Plus, I need to eat something a bit better. Anyway, we have the press conference.
Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
Yes.
Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
Oh, yeah.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani.
Soleimani? Oh, my goodness.
Attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently.
Yeah.
In an operation known as
Honestly,
Midnight Hammer.
Midnight Hammer, which is a cool but also uncool name for an operation.
All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time.
He's true in that. He's true for that, because we basically did a quote-unquote regime change in 2 hours, maybe 3. In 2 hours, what previous presidents, Bush, Obama, Biden, she less Biden, but Bush and Obama, had been doing for 20 years. 20. First, the invasion of Afghanistan, and then the invasion of Iraq in 2003. 20 years of that we got done in 2 hours. It really makes you think just how much was going on behind the scenes, how much people were profiting.
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night.
How would you use U.S. law enforcement in this case? Unless we're talking about U.S. being the police power.
It was dark.
It was dank.
Lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain
they hit him while everybody was
expertise
sleeping.
that we had. It was dark, and it was
people
deadly.
Have been saying a Batman in the night.
But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States
out of New York
and its
City,
citizens.
Even though Mamdani,
I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success
New York
overnight
still has the
with breathtaking speed, power,
infrastructure.
precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before.
Getting tired.
These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea.
So that was the whole
just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed.
There we go. A clean, a perfect operation, as it were. I keep yawning, dude. Maybe I really am tired.
States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years.
I like that, but what does that entail? Those are good words. I like to hear that. I like hearing the fact that we don't want to be in the country for very long. But I understand when people could bring up, you know, okay, we don't want to be in here for very long. But we said the same thing with Iraq, and the same thing with Afghanistan, the same thing with Vietnam, and those became multi-year wars. So, would there be, and there won't be, but would there be a? Oh, I lost my train of thought. What was it?
So we are going to run the country.
Oh, yeah. We don't know how long this is going to take. How long is this going to take? Because I don't want my tax dollars going into any more foreign occupations, because I would like to be done with that. This is not a war. I think it's safe to say that this isn't a war because A, there's no more fighting. And B, and more importantly, the Venezuelan people wanted this to happen. Venezuelans globally, all over the place. It seems like the entire populace is in agreement with Trump's actions, to the point where I would hope that any sort of short, first of all, this occupation will be short, but this occupation will not only be short-lived, but kind of decisive enough to where any sort of small fringe component of naysayers to this current transition period into the government that was chosen by the Venezuelan people is effectively stamped out from Venezuelan public consciousness, because that's certainly not the popular opinion in the country.
Until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And
that means nothing until you can give some sort of a initial timeline.
It has to be judicious, because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland.
Yes.
We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind.
Right. We should not be there. We should let
We're not going to let that happen.
Govern their own country at this point.
We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay.
On the other hand, I kind of understand why he doesn't give an exact timeline, because if he doesn't hit that timeline, then he broke a promise. So he keeps it intentionally vague in order to keep any and all options open and not pigeonhole himself into creating a deadline that he can't keep. Especially when it comes from I just imagined something completely different. And I'm getting really tired. I think I will need to stop stream because I can't, for some reason, am going to sleep. And I should not do that on stream. So I'll try again on probably tomorrow. But thank you for anybody that happened to come through. I didn't play any games today, but I will play games at some point. You have a good one, and I'll probably get some sleep or move around because I think that's what I really need is move around. Also, my eyes are shot. All right, have a good one.